Are you looking for affordable land in New Mexico? Today I'm going to share with you two lots that we're selling. Both are about 5 acres and they do both come with owner financing. So first I'm going to go over all the property details, and then I will cover the owner financing terms and how to buy. So let's get into it. Now you can find all of our properties, let me pause this. You can find all of our properties at land.goatcap.com. My company is Goatshake Capital, and we do sell properties throughout the entire US. Now, we're not real estate agents. That does mean that all of the properties we are selling are properties that our company owns, and that's why we can offer owner financing on almost all of them. As I said, I'll mention the owner financing details a little bit later, but first I want to give you all the specifics about the property, so zoning, physical characteristics, what you can do with it, utilities, all of that. So I'll get to that in a second. But if you are in the market for land, on our main listing page, you can see a map with all of our available properties. The red pins are the properties that are currently available. You can zoom in and out here, so you can zoom in on a specific area. And right now we're looking at 2 properties just south of Albuquerque in central New Mexico, but we do have some other properties in the southwest as well as the rest of the US. So, and I will say, if you're looking at land and none of the properties are in your area of interest, or the properties in your area of interest don't work right now, we do have a text alerts system. So you can sign up to receive text alerts whenever we post a property in your state of interest. And that way you can be the first to know when there's a new property that's gone online. Okay. So let's look at these 2 properties. Now, if you scroll down to the table below our map, this table gives you a little more information on each property. You'll see the property names. We're going to be looking at, I should say, properties number down 782 and down 804. So one thing I do want to say here is these numbers, these are our internal numbering system. So this 804 is not part of the legal description. It's not the lot number. Don't try to use that number if you're researching the property with the county. Hi, Judith. Good to see you. I will do the air horn. Hope you're having a good day. Oh, and anyone who's here live, if you have any questions about this property or our general process, please just leave your questions in the chat and I will get to them. Okay. So yes, don't use these numbers if you are researching the property with the county, but if you do want to find the properties on our website, they are again 804 and 782. So let's go back to the first one, which is 782. Now, if you did want to find the property on the county website, you can use this number here, which is the assessor's parcel number. But let's take a look at the main listing page. Right. Again, this is number 782 on our listing page, and it is 5.51 acres in Valencia County, New Mexico. So on all of our listing pages, we do have a interactive map with the approximate parcel boundaries drawn in. Now these are approximate parcel boundaries. They come from Assessor GIS data. So they give you a really good sense of where the property is, but they are not a substitute for a survey. So if you wanted to know exactly where the property was, you would want to get a survey done. So if we zoom out to look at the general location, we are about 50 minutes south of Albuquerque, very close to the Manzano Mountains. So we've actually sold, probably at this point, close to 100 properties in this area. It's one of our favorite locations. We sell in this whole expanse here, there are a couple subdivisions in the southern area. This area just to the south of Albuquerque, I should say. And there are a number of different subdivisions here that we sell land in. And we really like this area. We've actually gone out and visited ourselves. We really like this area because you can't quite tell from the photos, but it is quite stunning Like the Manzano Mountain views are really nice. You have the flat sort of desert grazing land, so you can see the full mountain range in the backgrounds, and you have the big expansive blue desert sky. So we were quite blown away at how pretty this area is, and we like it a lot. Now this particular lot is very close to the foothills of the Manzano Mountains, and it is off of a maintained dirt road. So let's take a look at satellite images. You can see here some of the desert sky. Now both these properties are in the Tierra Grande subdivision. Tierra Grande tends to keep the roads in good condition. This one, I did say maintained dirt road, but this actual road looks like it's in a bit rougher condition than some of the other roads. You'll see compared to the other property that I'll show in a second. So I will note that. And we can go to the drone footage. So let's watch it on YouTube. Okay. So we start all of our drone footage with a 3D scan, panoramic scan of the area. This gives you a sense of what it looks like on the ground. And you can see that like really wide blue desert sky and the mountain views there. So here's the drone footage. And the Manzano Mountains. Here, this gives you a good sense of the landscape. There is a railroad just to the south of the property, as you can see in the drone footage. Here's the road it's off of, and then here's the road it connects to. So this is more typical of the Tierra Grande subdivision. You can see it's more of a maintained dirt road. There are power lines along this road as well. So just for reference, this is the well-maintained dirt road. There are power lines along this road. So if you did want to build on this property, you would extend power about half a block or one lot over to this property. So we'll get a little more details down here. You can see the lot breakdown, the details lower down in the listing page. Again, we do give you the assessor's parcel number, so if you wanted to research this property with the county, you would use this number. The elevation in this area is about 5,420 feet, and we do give you the approximate GPS center point coordinates. We actually give you a link to them in Google Maps. So if you wanted to go visit the property, you could just click on that link and get directions in Google Maps to the approximate location of the property. You can take a quick look at it on Google Maps. There's not Street View around here. There's that railroad I was talking about. And we can see the 3D view a bit as well. Now, annual property taxes in this area are very affordable. It's just under $37 a year. Oh, and I should also mention that we give you all of the approximate boundary point coordinates, GPS coordinates as well. These again are approximate, but if you wanted to go out to the property and get a general sense of where the property boundaries are, you could use these GPS coordinates. I just do have to say again that they are not a substitute for a survey. So yeah, if you wanted to know the exact locations, you'd want to have a survey done. And this is an area that is residential zoning. Now, as we saw, it does have access via dirt road. Electricity, we're saying would likely need to be solar, but there are power lines, as we saw in the drone footage, about half a block away. So whether it's more cost effective to go with solar if you wanted to build or extend the power out would require a little bit of research and thinking through your budget. Oh, Judith, you have some friends in New Mexico or in Mexico? What part of, if New Mexico, what part are they in? Do they know this area? Now, water and sewer would be well and septic out here. So we'll know that. And these two properties are also in the Tierra Grande subdivision. So this is one of the few subdivisions in this particular area that has an improvement association. And I'll go to their website here. So yes, this is an HOA. And I know that many people don't like HOAs. Although I'll say we actually really like this improvement association. Oh yeah. How do they like living out there? I always thought New Mexico was really pretty. It was one of the areas we were considering moving to. But so as I was saying, we really like this improvement association. We've sold many, many properties in the subdivision, and there are a couple of reasons why we really like them. So first of all, we actually got to know the HOA administrator. She's really, really helpful and really, really nice. Kind of different from an experience you might have with a lot of other HOAs where you have a very difficult board and a lot of infighting. This HOA, as I said, the administrator is very nice and very clear with the requirements, not a lot of that like HOA board infighting. And the administrator really does want to work with property owners, has been our experience, because the main goal of the improvement association out here has been to get people to actually move in and build in this subdivision. And that's important because, as you can see from the surrounding area here, a lot of these subdivisions were never developed at all. These are kind of, a lot of these are legacy subdivisions from the 60s and 70s when a lot of this land was divided up, but the infrastructure was never built. So a lot of out-of-state buyers bought parcels and never moved in. The areas never really got developed. Tierra Grande is a little bit of an exception because the property owners, well, the area formed the Improvement Association, and that association has allowed or has been responsible for bringing out basic infrastructure. Oh, hey, Zaphael. Gotta give the air horn. Okay, and Zaphael, you have a question. Oh, Judith, your friends love New Mexico. That's good to hear. Oops. Okay, so Zaphael, you were saying, do you happen to know the power company's normal behavior on extending power for short distances like this? That's a good question. I actually have not personally worked with the local power company here, so I don't know how responsive or like what it's like working with them. I do know that in this particular subdivision, there has been a fair amount of, well, there have been a number of homes that have been built. So there are about 150 homes. It might be more at this point. That was the quote we got a few years ago. And the Tierra Grande Improvement Association did do a lot of work extending power lines. So one thing I'll say is the Tierra Grande, if you happen to get a property in this particular subdivision and you need to extend power a little bit, I believe, I don't want to speak for them, but my understanding is the Improvement Association would, if you're having problems, would help you or try to assist you in making sure that everything gets done. In terms of the cost, though, I don't know off the top of my head. That is, though, something that the Improvement Association might be able to give you like a general estimate for as well, because, as I've said, they've done a lot of work trying to bring in infrastructure in this area. So, yeah, you can see here that they do work heavily with county officials to resolve issues. They have in the past gotten various grants to extend power. They bladed out all the roads at one point and built them out. And they also work on water conservation, which can be a big issue in the Southwest as a whole. So But yes, so this is why we like them. They were created, and their dues are very, very low. It's only $50 a year, but they were created to make sure that the basic infrastructure that would be required to bring people out to this area was put in place. So now there are about 150 homes and about 300 people, I believe. Again, that number might be a little higher now, but yeah, there are a number of homes in this area. And we actually spoke to some of the residents here. There are a lot of people who retired from, the people we met were actually from the East Coast, I think New York even. But they wanted to retire out somewhere that was much quieter, much more nature focused, with a lot more space. And so that's why they moved out here. And the people we spoke with when we went out there really liked it. So you can see some of their photos here. But yeah, that's their main mission, is to make sure that basic infrastructure is in place, that homeowners are taken care of, and that they can actually build a home out here. In our experience, they're very responsive. They do also protect, own, and conserve, I believe, about 14, where's their open space information? They just rearranged all this, but I think it's 14,000 acres of open space for use just by property owners. So they might have moved it to this member benefits section. Well, I have to look around where they moved the information on the open space, but there is open space that is just for use by property owners in this area. But having said that, they do have some CCRs in place as well. Again, their goal was to make sure that this doesn't become an area that's kind of like Breaking Bad, with a lot of junked out trailers and all of that. So they do have some requirements when it comes to building. So it's important to know that this is not an area where you could put an RV or a manufactured mobile home. And should be clear about that up front. They do say that they want at least 2,000 square feet. I believe I'll open up the CCRs here, which are on our listings. I actually don't know how many members they have. That's a good question. I should ask them. So here we go, down to the uses. They always put the uses down at the, oh, did I miss it? All right, let's go back to their website. I think that's not. Okay. Well, it is 2,000 square feet minimum, so that's important to keep in mind. They do allow modular homes, I believe, and actually someone, I don't have a photo of it, but the administrator let us know that that someone actually built a earthship in this area. So they have been willing to work with landowners, buy out or take over the HOA, or divide the property between the members. Yeah, I suppose that's one option. They don't have a photo of it here, but someone did build, we were told, build a earthship home out here. So they have in the past been willing to work with property owners on, non-standard building types. I think their main concern is just that the building is, a certain quality, rather than that it meets exact specifications for materials. But you can find all the information on Tierra Grande at tierragrande.org. You can also contact them. In our experience, like I said, they've always been very responsive. So if you have any questions, you can contact them. I do believe that they allow camping as well here. You just need to notify the association when you're going to do that and remove all the camping material when you're done. But I would confirm that with the HOA if that's what you plan to use the property for. So that is this first property. Oh, I do want to pull it up in Land ID so we can do our basic online due diligence, just to check for special hazard flood zone, wetlands, soil, all of that. And I should mention, if you're looking at this property on any online mapping system, because a lot of these lots we just acquired, we list them as soon as we acquire them. Some counties or some databases take a little bit of time to update ownership information, so it might not yet show our name as the owner. But you can always look at the assessor records, contact the assessor to confirm that we're the owner. And we can also send you a copy of the deed that transferred title to us. Right, so I'll turn all these names off. We can look at the contour lines. This is a very flat area, as you could see from one HOA photo. So does that mean you want to buy into the HOA, Raphael? Yeah. One thing that actually reminds me, one thing that a lot of people in this area do is own horses, because the HOA does allow 2 horses for every 5 acres you own. So I think some members like to use that open space for horseback riding. Okay, so the elevation here, as I mentioned earlier, is about 5,420 feet. And there's not going to be. It is not in special hazard flood zone. And actually, let's see, soil overlay. So the soil is fairly similar in most of this area. These names came back on. So you can see here. And there have been homes built in this area on this same soil. A lot of the homes are over in this part of the subdivision. So that's a good sign for septic. Septic probably. Arizona after the winter. So septic generally isn't a big issue in this area. Wells, then we don't have the well layer in Land ID here, so I can't estimate a depth for a well. Many, as I said, there are about 150 homes here, so people have been able to drill wells. You would likely need to plan for that well to be pretty deep, so it will be maybe a little more on the expensive side with wells, but many people have done it in this area. And it's possible the Tierra Grande Improvement Association could give you some estimates for well depth in the area. I don't know for sure, but it's always worth contacting them to see if they can help with that. And no wetlands on this property. All right, so again, we were just looking at property number 782. We do have a second lot in this particular subdivision as well. That is number 804. This one's 5 acres exactly. So I'll pull it up. Almost all the information that we were just talking about in terms of the Improvement Association zoning allowable uses is all the same on this one, but it is in a slightly different location. So this one is this is closer to the area where a number of homes have been built, as you can see here. And we can look at the drone footage. So land ID, that's a good question, Zaphael, especially like in the Southwest where you do have flash floods. Land ID doesn't have a specific layer for flash floods, but the wetlands layer, when you're looking at the wetlands layer in the Southwest, you can assume well, I shouldn't say you can. We tend to assume that streams you see in the Southwest are seasonal and potentially prone to flash floods. So like these things you see over here. These are smaller streams, so I wouldn't think that they would, flood the whole area, but if you happen to be walking in the stream bed during certain times of year, that might not be the safest thing to do. It does also, as you've probably seen from some of our due diligence videos, it does differentiate between seasonal and year-round streams. So in the Southwest, I'd say, and this is just what we assume, whether, it's probably worth doing a little more research on it, but the seasonal ones are perhaps more likely to see flash floods during the monsoon season, since they'd be dry during the earlier part of the year. But that's something, maybe I'll look into that for a land buying tip, if there's a place you can go to look for flash floods, because that is an important thing to know if you're living in the Southwest. I'll think about that, see if I can get a better tip on how to find those. Right. So going back to 804, we'll pull up the drone footage. We can take a look at this one. All right, so again, we start with the Matterport scan here, that sort of panoramic ground level view of the property. And you can see the views of the Manzano Mountains here. As well, there are the homes in the nearby vicinity. Yeah. Right, and then I'll also pull this one up in Land ID. Okay. So we'll just quickly check for a special hazard flood zone. And it's not in one, and whether they're wetlands or those arroyos, which might be potential seasonal flooding issue, but no wetlands here. And the elevation on this one is 5,240 feet, very similar to the other one. Annual property taxes on this one are just under $25. No, Zaphael, no, we can't. I've always wanted to see them, though. Have you ever been able to see them? I'd really like to go to Alaska at some point during the Northern Lights season. Now, the last thing I want to point out about this area is if we zoom out, so in terms of nearby amenities, because this area, it's more for someone who wants to be in a remote location, a little more remote location, have a lot of privacy, natural views, all of that. But most people still want to be reasonably close to amenities, especially if you're looking at a retirement home. So this property is about 20 minutes to Belen, which is one of the commuter neighborhoods for Albuquerque, or bedroom communities. you could say. Belen does have a commuter rail up to Albuquerque, and it does have all the basic amenities you would need, like a grocery store, medical clinic. There's a Walmart too, so you know you're in civilization if there's a Walmart. Oh, really? Huh. I'll have to look. Maybe we can see them. I didn't notice them, but I'll have to check. That's interesting. And I do want to call out too that just a little further north from Belen is the town of Las Lunas. And I like to call out Las Lunas because actually has been a fair amount of economic development activity in Las Lunas. So for example, Facebook opened a data center there, and they're continuing to expand it. So that represents a very substantial investment in the area. Las Lunas is also the site of a rail-served industrial park. So, and that's also slated to expand. So that is a fair amount of investment and commercial activity going on in that area. So some decent amount of economic development activity relatively close by, which is generally could be said to be a good sign for property owners and property values. So I do like to call out Las Lunas and the surrounding area here. Okay, so that would bring us to the question of how to buy the property. So right now we have the properties priced at $5,397 plus the dock fee. We'll check the price on 782, which is because it's about half an acre more. It's a little more at $5,495 plus the dock fee. And we do offer owner financing as well. So with owner financing, we do tailor the terms to meet the needs of every buyer. So if you are interested in financing the property, you can reach out to us and let us know what kind of monthly payment and down payment would work for your budget, and we will work with you to make the property affordable. So if you'd like to reach out to us, you can actually book a meeting directly on the website with our sales manager, who's an expert on all of our properties, and she can go over the full details on owner financing, how the process works, and talk to you about what you would like to do with the property and what would work for your budget. So you just click contact and book your free call. But there are two things I do want to be upfront about with owner financing. So the first is that we can offer a lower interest rate for a higher down payment. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about your budget. The other thing is we do say there's no building on or living on the property until the end of the loan term. And that's for liability reasons, but you can use the property for recreational purposes as long as you're in compliance with all local rules and regulations. And we do often allow minor improvements, so things like fencing, clearing, even putting a shed on the property, things that don't require a permit. So if you're interested in a minor improvement like that, you can let us know and we will work with you. We also do say that there's no prepayment penalty. So if you did want to build on the property, you can always pay off early when you're ready to start construction, and there's no prepayment penalty. There's actually even a cashback reward if you pay off within a certain time. So if you pay off in 6 months, you get 5% cash back on the purchase price, and if you pay off in 12 months, you get 2.5% cash back. Do you determine dock free from where you acquired? No, that's basically more factoring in our costs for transferring the property. So that includes like document preparation, recording fees, transfer taxes, staff time, things like that. It's generally standard across the properties. Again, just covering the costs on our end of handling the transaction, because we do close, and that's actually an important point. We do close, or we offer to close, almost all of our properties in-house. I won't live on the property. Yeah, you remember that. So we do offer to close almost all of our properties in-house as part of the service that we offer when you buy from us. Now, of course, any buyer can elect to close through a title company if you would like. Those costs would just be borne by the buyer. But in that case, if you do decide to go through title, the $5.95 doc fee becomes more like an earnest money deposit that is then deducted from the purchase price in the settlement statement. Okay, so, oh yes, but as I was saying, if you pay off early, there's no fee, and we do offer 5% cash back if you pay off in the first 6 months, and 2.5% cash back on the purchase price if you pay off in 12 months. So what a lot of people do is they'll get a construction loan when they're ready to build, and they'll use that to pay off the owner financing loan. You'll also save on interest too if you do that. So, and with owner financing, we also offer a 365-day land exchange guarantee. So if in that first year you find that this property either doesn't work for you, or we get a property in our inventory that you think is like absolutely perfect, you can exchange one time in that first year for a different property. You just have to pay the document fee again. But that way you know that you are getting the property that really works for you. Also, all of our purchases, whether it's a cash purchase or owner financing purchase, do come with 9 bonuses, our Freedom Bundle. These are free. They are designed to celebrate land ownership and help you be successful as a landowner. So that bundle includes monthly landowner Q&A calls with me, a complimentary vacation voucher, hotel savings card, and restaurant savings card to help either offset the cost of going to visit the property or a vacation to celebrate becoming a landowner. You do also have the option to request a 30-minute architectural consultation with me. That would be free, but I do have a background in architecture, so if you're looking to build, you could get a free consultation and some advice on next steps. All purchases also come with the homesteading guide, building and zoning guide, and post-closing checklist, along with our neighbor lookup tutorial. So if the neighboring properties are vacant and you're having a hard time figuring out who the owners are, you can find their address and send them a nice letter to introduce yourself. So all of these come free with every purchase. You get them when the deed is recorded. That'd be upfront with a cash purchase, or at the end of the loan term with owner financing. They have a value of about $5,675. And again, they're free with the purchase of every property. Right, so if you're interested in this property or any of our properties, as I mentioned earlier, you can book a call or just call my team. So if you want to book a call, you can click contact and go to book your free call here to go over all of your questions, what you're looking to do with the property, next steps, everything you would need to know and do if you wanted to buy the property. We do also have an automated hold process. So if you would like to do more research before you go ahead and pull the trigger, you do have a chance to do that without the property being bought or taken by someone else. So the hold is $50 for 2 days, and you can hold for up to 8 days. To hold the property, you just click buyer hold on the main website or the main listing page, and then click hold. It's an automated process, very easy. And that hold fee would be applied to the purchase price if you move forward with the purchase. Yeah, that is probably true, Raphael. If you're very nice, you would probably get more than 30 minutes, yes. So yes, the hold fee would be applied to the purchase price. It actually would be applied to the purchase price if you purchase any property So if you decide this particular one isn't the right fit, but you want another one instead, as long as you buy within 30 days of holding the property, this hold fee could be applied to that other lot's purchase price. All right. So that about covers it. Again, if you have any questions you would like to talk more about the property, please feel free to reach out to my team. You can book a call. They're very knowledgeable about the lots, all of our lots. And you can find all of our properties at land.goatcap.com. We are also live every day at 5 p.m. Eastern. So if you are currently looking for land, you're looking at other listings, and you would like someone to take a look at them for free, you can join our daily live streams at 5 p.m. Eastern. Just leave your property in the comments and we'll take a look at it for you, us and our community of land enthusiasts. So please join us. You can also join to take a look at interesting properties. Otherwise, you can find the two properties we looked at today at land.goatcap.com. Again, they were properties 782 and 804. So if you wanted to look at those properties on our website, it's 804 and 782. And the website is land.goatcap.com. So thank you everyone for joining, and I will